worried about like Texas, Arkansas,
Yeah.
because they play more physical, they get under it. So that's what Purdue, they're got
Was it?
pressure, it's those
They
guys.
didn't have it. They
Don't
don't
have
have their,
milkshakes.
Just
no,
because
they don't have their
I mean,
shortcakes
the
until
guards are
Oh.
after the first of the year, because the way that it bakes them
6'7", 6'6" out there.
takes
Fouling all game long.
Start baking
They don't ball off, like, that's their strategy.
I knew that my aunt had said something, there was something that they didn't have all the
Yeah,
time.
shortcake they don't make until after
Well, the
January.
BZA will go on YouTube too.
I'll shut the light off.
Oh, not in here, right?
No,
Oh, you can shut it off in here too, I don't care.
I left it
We'll go
on
home.
back there, so.
But this next one should be short.
Did you watch the football game?
That was awful.
You're still here,
Oh.
right? Tomorrow we'll be all confused what goes with what.
So is this the December BZA?
In effect,
Oh.
yes.
So we still are gonna have another one this month or not?
Right now, nothing's, is something
Yes.
filed?
Yes, we
Okay,
have
so
something
yes,
filed.
we'll have one at the end of the month, yeah.
All right, are we ready? Is the
Hang on,
recording ready?
almost.
You just let me know and I'll call it to order.
Cat's still sorting, and then I think we gotta start YouTube.
I got the streams.
Report on the That always drives me batty, when like one line goes to the next. I end up messing with the margins, so I think it will.
Is it, we're only 5, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your little cheat sheet.
Have you been feeling all right and everything? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
You know, I mean, it takes a little wind out of your sails.
Sure, but I know you're really active and you
You know,
you
I-
exercise, so
So now I'm in my rehab,
working your way back up.
get to go see him 3 times a week.
Ready? I'll go ahead and hit record.
Okay, ready. All right, I'm gonna call the Area Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. We need to do the same thing that we did at the area plan and get our officers. Need president, Scott's our president right now, but
Right now, he is. I would, as staff, I don't know if, you guys have thought about this, but as staff, I would recommend perhaps making a shift to that. Scott's a great member, and he has been a great member, but he's had a bunch of employment changes, and he believes what he's in right now is temporary. If he's not, then I think his intention would be maybe to make some shifts, but if he's not able to be here, it's hard to be president, so
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just, you have the right to assign whoever you want, but he's not here obviously to speak for himself, but as staff, if there's an issue or a special meeting needs to be called, the president is the person by state law that has the power to help facilitate that, so it might be good to consider if it might be appropriate to shift that a little bit, and then if he can rejoin us, you can always shift it again next year,
yeah.
Whatever.
Yep.
Andy, would you take a nomination, would you take the
Yeah.
nomination for
Yeah, I'll-
becoming the president?
Yeah, I'll accept that nomination.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Andy Bailey.
Second.
It's approved and seconded as making me the chair. Do I need a roll call vote for that? I don't even have,
You can do a voice vote.
let's just do a voice vote. All those in favor? say
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. Vice Chair of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals.
I'll throw 2 cents in. There was a meeting Stacy ended up running because everybody else wasn't here. And I know as staff, we commented that she did an exceptional job. So if there's gonna be silence, I'm gonna throw that out there.
I moved to make Stacy our,
Well, no, Stacy accepted. You probably should.
are you willing to do that?
No,
No? Okay.
no.
She'll call you every day to make sure you.
Hey, Grant, there you go. You can be both.
No, that's fine.
Okay. I move that, we nominate Grant Mueller to be our vice chair.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion and, let's go ahead and do a, voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes. Now we need secretary. Stacy was our secretary. Would you be willing to do that?
I guess I can.
Okay.
As long as one of you two shows up to the meeting.
I move to make Stacy Pedigo our secretary.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. All right, so we've got myself as chair and, Grant as our vice and Stacy as secretary. Sorry, Chester, you got left out this year.
Oh, no. Everything's well.
Shoot.
research committee
All right, let's move on to a roll call of members
Andy Bailey,
here.
Stacy Pedigo,
Here.
Chester Bankus,
Here.
Grant Mueller,
Here.
Scott Hutzensberger is absent. Staff members Liz Stitzel and Kat Ballard present, as well as BZA attorney Jay Moore.
Good deal, good deal. What was our last, board meeting minutes from?
September 27th,
So our
2022.
our September 22, minutes, entertain a motion to approve those.
Second.
Motion to approve.
Chester made the motion, Grant seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes.
Why are all our secretaries at the far end from staff?
Oh,
It happened in the last meeting too. We just passed.
I got one.
All right.
To find it.
All right, we don't have any old business, do we? Liz?
No, we do not.
Yeah, that's what, okay, so let's go on to our public hearings. The first public hearing and only for the night is, application CC 2022-0136, or sorry, 01136, docket 31-22-SE, petition of Charles Simmons. Staff, can you take us through that report, please?
Sure can. So this is a request for a special exception for a single residence in the agricultural district. The petition, area plus all the surrounding ground are zoned agriculturally. This may look familiar to some board members because, there was, another Simmons lot created on this same farm ground maybe a year or two ago, that is actually, you can see it there in the picture.
To the
On
west?
the opposite side of the U formed by the floodplain sitting over there. So you can see in that picture where the floodplain is, the solid pink is the floodway fringe, but the entire area is zoned agriculturally, and there is room there for a lot in front. The applicants are seeking approval from the Board of Zoning Appeals for a single dwelling in the A1 district. There's 4 criteria contained in section 513.03 of the Unified Development Ordinance that the board must find affirmatively are met. Wow. These are: 1, that the lot shall be located such that the proximity to other dwellings and configuration of the parent tract or the location of creeks, ditches, and other natural features have the least negative impact on the use of agricultural equipment or the use of the property as part of the farm. This site is tucked up against woodland and floodplain areas. It does take some tillable ground, but it's also taking partly shaded ground on the edge of the field. It's not significantly increasing the awkwardness of what is already an awkward shape. I will note on this that, the drainage board, while they did approve it, they did note that, they felt, and staff had also made the comment when they come in and talk to us, that, typically you would prefer to see the 2 home sites side by side. The petitioner has stated that this is the way they wanted it, so it's the way that they filed it. But I guess I mention it because, board members who are aware of how we look at agriculture and protection, that look at that, this was mentioned to them that it would leave the field better preserved to put the two, side by side. They very specifically wanted to request it this way. The board certainly would have the right to give them feedback if you wanted something different to happen. It's not locked in, but that's the way it's applied for at the moment. So, 2, locating a dwelling on the new lot would not require changes in road surfaces or bridges. So this is on a paved road, it's well maintained, it doesn't appear there'd be any issue with traffic flow and volume. 3, locating a dwelling on the new lot would not interfere with current agricultural practices in the adjacent area and would not substantially restrict the expansion of confined feeding and other agricultural practices. So there's no existing confined feeding operations nearby, so there's not an issue with restricting expansion. The new home will slightly expand the restricted area where a confined feeding cannot go, but some of that area is already floodplain and not viable for a confinement facility anyway. Creating a lot for a new dwelling on the petition site should not impose a significantly greater restriction for future confined feeding operations. According to the attached map, and there's a map that I made because it seemed to be helpful last time we had one of these discussions, you can see the orange circles show you the 1320 setback around the existing homes that are already in the area. And then the outer yellow circle shows you the 1320 around the proposed location. And you can see the difference between the orange circles and the outer yellow are the areas that would be new, most of which are floodplain. Now, if this lot was moved over, then you can kind of imagine how that circle would shift. It would almost exactly duplicate the circle around the other Simmons residence that's already there. But, and then you can see the 660 setbacks too, which if you do 660 setbacks, there is a slightly larger area created where a small confinement facility would need to move over, mostly across the new lot. That would be created for the residents. So hopefully that's helpful in seeing what's happening relative to confinement facilities. There is a nearby legal non-conforming grain facility that does sit adjacent to the house to the north, but there does seem to be adequate space for the new home to remain 660 foot from it. And that grain operation already cannot expand in this direction because there's an existing home that it doesn't own that's next to it. To the west. So it's adding another home isn't going to create a worse problem than already exists for that grain operation. All right, 4, there are mitigating circumstances in the application of the above rating criteria. So really the only circumstance that we saw that might have any merit is that this is an irregularly shaped field surrounded by floodplain. It's a home for the second son of the owner of the farm. In addition to these standards, there's 6 special exception standards contained in section 203.11a. First, the proposed use conforms to the district provisions in which it will be located and the general regulations of the ordinance. So if a special exception is granted, then a single-family home would be permitted on the property. If approved by this board, then a minor subdivision approval will be needed from the Area Plan Commission. 2, the proposed use shall not involve an element or cause a condition that may be dangerous, injurious, or noxious to any other property or persons and shall comply with the performance standards herein. The health department has received a soil test report and has determined min specs. Perimeter drainage will be needed, but there's no reason to expect any issue. And when we're looking at houses, that's the primary condition that might be considered noxious, is making sure you can treat sewage. 3, the proposed use shall be sited, oriented, and landscaped so the remainder of its relationship of its buildings and grounds to adjacent buildings and properties do not impair health, safety, or comfort, nor adversely affect values of adjacent properties. So this site is surrounded by farmland and floodplain. There is a home down the road in each direction, including the one that was previously approved off the same parent tract. It doesn't appear that an additional home would have a negative effect on the kind of semi-rural home type of environment that's right along this section of road right now. 4, the proposed use shall produce a total environmental effect consistent with and not harmful to the environment of the neighborhood. So this is adjacent to farm ground. It's also adjacent to floodplain. It is shaded the first half of each day. The farm is family owned. The section is already irregularly shaped. It does not appear that that creating another building lot is a substantial harm to neighboring property owners. 5, the proposed use shall organize vehicular access and parking to minimize conflicting traffic movement on adjacent streets. This is a lot that's in excess of the minimum 1 acre, there's definitely room for the 2 required off-street parking spots. And finally, the proposed use shall promote the objectives of the ordinance to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. So, objective 1, policy 1 states to minimize development on agricultural land. The Johnson Township Future Land Use Plan designates this as being primarily agricultural. There should be a housing density of no more than 1 home per 20 acres, with the homes clustered together and broad areas of farming between. So, this home with it, the parent tract does still, meet that 1 to 20, ratio that you look for in the ag district, not to exceed. And, it is grouped with kind of 2 other homes that are there to the east, with being on this side of the field. So you do kind of have a grouping. The only thing that there has certainly been some discussion about is, again, would the field usability be better served by grouping it with the other home and leaving the remnant? And that's certainly something that BZA can discuss, and I know was brought up by members of, some other boards as this was looked at. But as far as with the staff, we haven't gotten any complaints from neighbors or anything. So as far as staff recommendation, staff would recommend to approve, whether in this location or requiring them to move it over, noting that minor subdivision approval will be necessary from the Plan Commission if approved by the BZA. But certainly this doesn't seem to be harming confinement or grain operator opportunity, and you've got that floodplain that's very limiting in the back. And there are already 3 other homes in the immediate area, however you happen to arrange this one. So it would seem to make some sense. And then there is, usually you guys don't see drainage board approvals, so this goes to the Plan Commission, but they have already gotten theirs, so it's here as well.
Okay. Thank you, Liz. Ron, do you represent the petitioner?
I do. Ron Wary of Moses Surveying, representing the petitioner. This is the person going to build a house is the son of the owner. The older son built another home just to the west, did that already, and it may even have a CO by now or close to it.
It's close.
And so he wanted exactly the same size as what his brother did, and that's what it here next to the woods on the other side. So this is what he was planning on doing, and other than that, we answer any of your questions you have.
I get when I don't have any questions. Does anybody else have?
No, I don't.
Okay. There's no other, objectors, cause there's nobody else in the room, so. I mean, when you look at this and looking at the map with I really like this when
The map
when
is
we're
awesome.
talking about these setbacks on this agricultural ground. When you start looking at it, and I like that map has property lines on it too, so that you can see that it's not really inhibiting any one property, putting that lot there, from any kind of agricultural activity outside of the grain facility there, but that was explained that that's a different ownership anyway and would have to go under some other.
They can expand
Thanks.
away from, but
Meant-
they can't
yeah,
go
go
toward
towards
because
it,
of the
yeah.
house that
That-
honestly probably that
To the
one
west.
sold off at
Yeah,
some point.
exactly.
Creating their own issue.
So with that, I'm good with it. Any other board discussion?
No.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the special exception application CC 2022-01136 according to the findings of the staff report, which were incorporated in motion by reference.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the application. Let's do a roll call vote, please, Liz, or Kat.
Just give me a second.
You're fine. Thanks, Ron.
All right, Andy Bailey,
Yes.
Stacy Pettigo,
Yes.
Chester Vegas,
Yes.
and Grant Muller.
Yes.
Motion approved. That's it for the public hearings. Is there any new business for the BZA?
I don't have anything as far as new business. I think we're.
Kat, you said there's stuff
Yes,
for
you
the
do have
January.
Your next meeting is gonna be the 24th, we did have a filing today for special exception.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So January 24th, the end of this month, we'll meet again. Look for a motion of adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we're adjourned.
Hey, not all at once.
We'll try to speed up.
Hey,
next time.
we beat the area plan, that's like
Oh,
a
yeah.
first.
Is the area plan usually a lot faster?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can do some,
Usually,
Well,
Often.
yeah, often you guys have way more cases than them
yeah,
too.
the case
They
load's
had
just
two, you
different.
guys had one, and then they had a bunch of other beginning of the year.
Thanks.
State law says they're responsible to direct, some of these other